Morning. How did I get a smoothie jersey? I bought it. They were selling them. I don't like talk about it a lot, but I've always said that if anybody makes a jersey for your team or whatever, I would probably buy it and wear it on the Popcast. I like team jerseys, even if I'm not a member of that team. The problem is, everybody's team jersey is black. Like, everybody has a black jersey. Just, fine, but Acroporis wasn't black. Acroporis was actually probably the best jersey there. No, I didn't get my name on the back. I wasn't going to pay extra for that. Because then it comes across as like I'm a player on the team, and I don't want to do that. I just want to, like, represent the team when I'm out at the grocery store. And somebody's like, gives me the smoothie copy pasta when I'm at the checkout line. It's like, a fellow smoothier. Thank you for the follow, Nike. Welcome in. Man, I didn't talk to Airsign at all. I think I talked to Airsign. There's I'll talk about this a little bit later. There's a lot of people I didn't get to talk to, despite the fact that I talked to a lot of people. There's just how you get around to all 250 plus is impossible. Heyo, 3 gore spool. Your spool. Thank you for the follow. Falco, are you back? Are you still at that? What the hell is that South Terminal? I don't even know what that is. That exists or why it needs to exist. I didn't think Austin Airport was that necessary. Oh, okay. Good. Also, Brush, what's your current, what's the update on your current situation? Legion and Frontier? I don't even know what those, I have no idea what those things are. I mean, I know they're airlines, I just never. Oh, you're still at Dallas? Okay. How long are you, when are you gonna get out of Dallas? Regional low-cost airlines. Oh, okay. So be it. You know, if you're not... Yeah, I don't think you need to go out of your way to spend a lot of money on airplanes. If you can find a cheaper way to get through it, that's definitely the way to go. Got home at 1:30 in the morning last night? Hey, at least you got home. It's probably worth it than to not book another night. You're boarding at 6. Okay, because you leave at 6:30. Okay. You don't have... Brush, you shouldn't have, like, a long flight at all. I'm assuming your flight to Dallas took, like, 30 minutes. If that. You just go up and then go right back down. As soon as the captain takes off the seatbelt sign, and we're beginning our descent. 45 and 50. Okay, 10 of that is spent on like the tarmac. Flight to Indy is only like a couple of hours. I don't even think it is 2 hours total. Airplanes are... Can we talk about how cool airplanes are in general? Like the fact that we can just travel anywhere in this country in like a handful of hours is mind-boggling. And it's funny because like you just go to an airport or you get on an airplane, and as you're taking off, like most people in the airplane are just like looking at their phone like it's no big deal that we've defied God and found a way to fly around the planet. Like, it should be like our brain should explode every time we take off from an airplane, but we've done it so it's just so part of what we are as human beings in this era that we live in, where it's just like, yeah, we're just flying somewhere. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. It's just... Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while your flight out of Austin is being delayed, making a detour to Buc-ee's to get your hands on one of those vacation shirts, leaving your copy of Splatoon 3 in your room because you've been playing Tears of the Kingdom instead. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Let's start off with something and get this out of the way right off the bat. After Falco and I signed off from our final commentary block yesterday before the award ceremony, we're gathering up our stuff and we're about to go leave, like get out in the audience and then dip out of the venue. And Siren tells me to stick around a little bit afterwards. Siren told me not to go anywhere, like to basically stay exactly where I was. So I was like, okay. My philosophy throughout this weekend was if Siren and Magic told me anything, I wasn't going to question it. I was just going to do it. So I did. And I was like, why do they want me to stay here, though? I don't really understand. My first thought was, oh, they want me to help out with the award ceremony somehow. But as that was going on, I was like, oh, wait, no. I'm being forced to help out with the teardown. That's what's going on. I'm not allowed to leave until the teardown situation is happening. That's why I'm not being told to stay. But no, it turns out that they wanted to give me a 4 minutes kind of recognition on stream in front of everybody that was still in the venue to just talk about how awesome that I was. And I was not really expecting that. And that was pretty cool. It was basically this eulogy for my TOing career up to this point and all the other things that I've done and been a part of the scene. I was caught off guard by that. I was not expecting that at all. I wasn't like, why would they do that? I didn't really understand in the moment, like why they would take time. There's so many other people who do things in this community that deserve that kind of recognition. And I didn't even do anything for that event. Like Siren DM'd me a few times. Hey, what's your thoughts on this map list idea? Or, hey, what are your, I forget, there was something else. Oh, seating. Give me some thoughts on seating stuff. And I get that stuff all the time. Not just for like IPL events, But for pretty much any kind of major tournament, the TO for that, even in Dapple Productions, I've had Baja's DM'd me before asking, hey, can you help? Here's all the low level teams. We don't really know how to seed them. Can you help me seed this? And I've always been more than happy to do that for people or any kind of thing that they've wanted my input for. And I'm never, I am with the tournaments I run. I really don't like unsolicited advice from other people. Like these are my stuff, and that's not really a good feature to have. But I'm very stubborn with my things, and I don't like it when people give us unsolicited advice, other than feedback. Feedback's not unsolicited advice, obviously. But at the same time, I don't go out of my way and like go into other tournaments and be like, I think you should be doing this, or why aren't you doing things like that? And, I'll give like my general thoughts here on the Popcast, but I never go to a TO directly and just insert my opinions where it's not needed. But if people come to me and ask my opinions for things, I'm more than happy to share my thoughts without being overstepping. And be, look, you're seeking my thoughts. I'm more than happy to give it to you. And, I'm always happy to do that. But I've never had anybody kind of give me a pat on the back for it. As I've gotten older in my life, I've learned to kind of accept praise instead. Like in the moment, I'm like, no, like don't do this. Why would shout out the production crew a little bit more? But I've learned to just say thank you and just kind of accept things and be excited when people are saying nice things about you. So thank you, Siren and Magic. That was really nice, and yeah, it was unexpected but really nice. I do want to kind of point out something with that, because I didn't get to talk to Siren or Magic at all after that. I gave him a hug and I thanked him, but I don't really know where that came from. And I'm assuming that it might be this narrative that that I'm retiring from the scene, and I just kind of I tweeted this out last night, and I want to kind of dispel this right now. My ass ain't going anywhere. Now on the last episode of the podcast, when I was previewing things, I was talking about Destiny Troops. I mentioned how that was it for me. This was going to be my swan song. I wasn't going to be playing competitively anymore, but that's not really anything new. The last tournament I did before Low Tide City was the Proving Ground Region Rumble with my Indiana team. That was January, February, something like that. Like Destiny Troops did a handful of scrims leading up to this, but like I can't grind the game anymore. Even the kid, I'm not like using my kid as an excuse not to grind. I can't have a baby and still grind the game. But my passion for actually playing the game competitively is done. I've accomplished everything that I want to accomplish actually playing the game. I feel like I've pushed myself as far as I can at the age that I'm at in a very young scene. So I have no regrets about that. But I was retiring from playing the game competitively. Now, when we have the kid, obviously, like that first period where like we're going to be on maternity leave, yeah, you guys aren't going to see me at all, for obvious reasons. And I want the podcast to go on during that time, and I might start reaching out to some folks to see if they want to be a guest host for like an episode, and maybe have like a rotation of like 3 or 5 episodes or so where there's a different guest host hosting an entire episode of the podcast where they just do whatever. But once like that period's done and we feel like we got this whole new phase of our life of being parents under control, we're gonna I'm not going to speak for my wife, but myself personally, I'm going to come back into Low Ink and Proving Grounds and doing this and offering all the kind of the whatever other thing people want my help or commentary for. I'll be more than happy to do that. So I just want to dispel this rumor. I'm not leaving anything. Obviously, I'm going to be gone for at least a month, and not 2. Now, to be fair, I could be completely retiring from the scene. I don't know. I'm as my wife and I are as prepared to have a kid as we can be. But until like we actually have the kid and going through all of that stuff, we don't know. It could be something where like my whole mindset has changed and it's like I don't want to do anything with Splatoon anymore. I honestly don't know, but at least right here today I can say I'm not going anywhere. So don't if that's where that kind of pat on the back yesterday came from, I just kind of wanted to dispel that rumor. But yeah, I mean, look, guys, I got a pop gun tattooed on my arm. Like, I can't just escape from this, okay? Like, I have to, I have to explain this. I'm committed to this, and with how exciting the past weekend was, how much I enjoyed it, how much I've always enjoyed everything. It's it's definitely not something that I want it to end anytime soon. One thing I do want to mention though, Siren mentioned that everybody loves Pop Gun. Like, who doesn't like Pop Gun? It doesn't show up on the stream, but my response was, I know several people who don't like me. I can't. When I release my tell-all book, I'll show you some of the DMs that I get. Boy, being a TO for a tournament that draws in 1,000+ people every month, you catch a couple of people who are not that fond of you. And also, I do this whole podcast thing for 175 episodes, where the vast majority of it is me saying positive things about you guys. But I've also had to be critical. I had to be fairly critical of things. I've one point called out a TO by name to step down and leave the community altogether. There's gonna be, and I have to do stuff like that. Like, I can't just come on here and be Captain Sunshine and Roses all the time, because that's not fair to the story of whatever it is that I'm talking about. I try to be as neutral and tell both sides of the story when it comes time for when heavy topics come up. But yeah, I know for a fact there are a lot of people that don't like me, and I'm more than fine with it. I don't care. Bro, I'm 32. Once you get out of high school, you stop really caring about anything, about what people say about you. Oh, someone private quote retweeted you, Pop Gun. Who cares? That just means they're too scared to say it to my face. Life goes on. But then again, thank you, Siren and Magic. I didn't deserve that, but I'm going to humbly accept that praise. You guys deserved much more than that. You ran the biggest LAN in North America ever up to this point, and you're going to get some more praise over the course of this episode of the podcast. But still, thank you. That was really nice. Speaking of this episode of the podcast, that's enough of talking about me. Again, what's made this podcast successful is me talking about you guys, the idiots in chat, and the lovely people that watch VODs on YouTube, and everything in between. It turns out people like it when you say nice things about them. I agree. But let's start talking about you guys. Some people were kind of surprised. I was talking to them yesterday, and they were like, "You're not going to do a podcast tomorrow, are you?" I was like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Our plane took off at 7 a.m. Central Time. We got home at 10:30 our time, or we landed at 10:30 our time. It took like another 45 minutes to get back to our actual house. And I wrote this entire episode, well, not the entire episode, I wrote the vast majority of this episode on the airplane. So it's pretty easy to do. It's, 175 episodes. I get pretty good at just spewing things out. Like I pretty much write all my episodes here, and then it's just, well, I just got to take time to put it down on paper, and the airplane was the perfect time to do that. A lot of this is just going to be jumbled. I didn't reach out to anyone to talk, to bring on for an interview like I usually do, with Lance. We're going to have to do that for Riptide because I'm not going to be there. We'll have like a Popcast correspondent reporter on scene at Riptide, and then we'll bring them on to get their perspective on things. But yeah, we're doing this one. It's not that difficult to do. News of other tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener to the podcast. Can you do an interview right now? Hold on. Hold that thought. Yeah, if you actually, honestly, Hi, if you can, why not? Not right this second, but hold that thought. It is Low Ink Week. It's actually Low Ink Week. There's already over 100 people signed up for it. Now, okay, so I'm gonna be out of town for portions of this weekend. So I'm not gonna do the Low Ink preview on Friday. Instead, I'm gonna do it on Thursday. It's gonna be in a bit of an unorthodox time for a Popcast. So I'll give that information out a little bit later. It's probably gonna be like a late-ish. So sorry, EU. But you guys can watch the VOD on Friday, anyways. But yeah, we haven't done the maps yet. Ink Fair is the one who makes the maps, the map graphic, and I don't know if they are gonna I don't know when they were at Low Tide City, so I don't know when they're gonna be back across the pond and ready. So I might have to hand make the map pool graphic again. Or I don't think JPEG might be able to do that. I don't know. I haven't put any effort whatsoever into thinking about Low Ink. So we're going to have to grind out Tuesday and Wednesday to get prepped for that tournament. But thank you, Leafy, for the raid, by the way. Go to Low Tide City next time. Somebody needs to beat Starburst. It's getting kind of out of hand with what they're doing there. So make sure you sign up for Low Ink. Traditionally, this would be a week where we do a Proving Grounds on a Friday because it's the second week, but I don't want to do a Proving Grounds and a Low Ink at the same time. So Proving Grounds is going to be next week on Friday. It's just too much to kind of do all at once. Today, we're going to be talking about all things Low Tide City. I'm just going to ramble. I just kept writing while I was on the airplane, and I'm just assuming this is going to take an hour. If it doesn't, then if Hi is available, yeah, we'll get Hi in here. I don't really care. I think that'd be good. We can get 2 minutes of interesting things out of that, unless we can't. All that and more. But first, believe it or not, something other than Low Tide City took place this weekend. So bear with me, because I forgot to bring up the music. Now or Never extended. There we go. It's time for the weekly recap. SOS number 108. I think. Why didn't I write down the number of SOS? Yeah, I did. 108. Took place this past Wednesday. 1-2 Buckle My Shoe won SOS number 108. Sond 4 fan club, I don't know what that is, took second place. And Decay took third. Now, 1-2 Buckle My Shoe sounds like a pickup team, but they actually have a Twitter. So that means they're an official team now, right? So congratulations to 1-2 Buckle My Shoe. There you go. Decay, once again, getting another podium in a weekly tournament. They seem to, every single Squid Junction or Proving Ground or whatever that they sign up for, or SOS, they make third or second somehow. So Decay's going to win one of these tournaments eventually. They're knocking on that door. Hammerhead was won by Crab is Just Baller. Mako Bracket was won by Good Question. And Lantern Bracket was won by Sparkling Calamity. On Saturday, while Low Tide City was still going on with Silver Bracket Redemption Round, Squid Junction number 43 took place for all the folks that weren't at at Austin, Texas, Round Rock, Texas, or whatever, for people that still want to play open tournaments. And the team that won it was called Pickup. The team that finished in second place was called Chumpy Lane. And the team that finished in third was a series of question marks and exclamation marks as characters in their name. Oh, joy! Great. No, now, if somebody's watching this back, like years in the future, to figure out who won Squid Junction number 43, all those words I just said mean nothing to anybody. And yes, it's on Battlefy, so I can look up the rosters for all these teams. But if you don't care enough to give a name that's actually worthwhile, why should I care enough to look up who you are either? So I don't really care at this point. I do know there was some DC issues throughout the course of this tournament. I saw Havoc tweeting that out. Hey, there were DC issues throughout the course of a LAN tournament as well. So this game just sucks. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, as a TO, it's frustrating because that's like the one thing out of your control that you can't really do anything about other than just like, I think we should just DQ you and move on. Well, that's not fair. And it's like, yeah, well, I can't sit here and stare at you guys DCing all day. At some point, I want to go to bed. And if you're going to make a twit longer about me DCing you, or about us DQing you because you DC'd, I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. I will lose sleep over watching you play Grand Finals at 2 in the morning, though. Low Tide City took place this past weekend in Round Rock, Texas. This was a LAN tournament. I've been assuming you would be aware of this, so I'm going to be talking about it at length. Starburst took first place without dropping a single game. Schmoothie smoothed their way into second place, and Sonder rounds out your podium there at third. The silver bracket was won by the Jelly Squids, who got a win over the Aquatic Wahoo Poles. Not Aquatic Vanguard, which it was Aquatic Just call yourself Aquatic Vanguard. If you guys had won that, you could have got recognition. Instead, you're Wahoo Pole fans, and there's no way you are actually fans of Wahoo World Poles. Come on. Come on. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by Salads. Salads are awesome. And something we should eat a whole lot more of when we're at LANs. Now, I did find, if you go to Low Tide City next year, there were some more salad options at the venue that weren't crazy expensive, other than just having to be forced to eat a slice of pizza that's $7 or a burger that's been sitting underneath a lamp. There were actually some like little grab and go salads scattered throughout the entire resort. So I'd recommend getting that next time. Salads are good. They fill you up, and they're not going to leave you feeling sluggish and bloated while you're trying to survive in your run through Losers Bracket. Salads, the official sponsor of today's episode of the Weekly Recap. A highlighted message in chat. No, we are Wahoo Pole fans. Oh, yeah? Name every Wahoo World Pole. Who gave you the smoothie jersey? I bought it. Balloon tweeted out a couple of months ago, hey, we're making jerseys. Does anybody want one? It's this amount. And I said, I DM'd Balloon. I was like, I want one. Take my money. I'm more than happy. And if anybody, this goes out in the future. If anybody... is selling jerseys and you're making jerseys and you were like, hey, we'll make some more if anyone wants to buy them, DM me, because there's a good chance I would want to buy it. I like wearing other teams' swag, especially teams I actually like Smoothie. Some of you I don't like, but I still might wear your jersey anyway. Ugh. What took place this past weekend was the largest North America LAN ever up to this point. And it sure felt like it. It absolutely felt like it. For some positive reasons and for some annoying reasons. There were so many people there. It truly felt like, wow, this is one of the biggest things I've ever been a part of in the Splatoon community. There were so many people that I feel bad because I didn't get to talk to everyone that I wanted to. I felt like I talked to as many people as I could mentally handle talking to. I mean, I put myself in as many social situations as I could, and people approach me. A lot of people do approach me, which is great. Sign posters, do like a quick chat. Who are you? Hey, how you doing? If I follow your Twitter, I might ask you like, hey, you tweeted this about your personal life. How that working out for you? With the amount of people that I talked to, there was still a lot of people that I didn't really get the opportunity to say anything other than a quick hi to. Cornflower and her husband, I didn't really get to say. I saw them a lot, but I never really had like an opportunity to just like sit down and have a conversation with them. Just because like they were doing a lot of stuff and I was doing a lot of stuff. Air Sign, I said hi to Air Sign and that was it. Sorry, Air Sign, I know you're always in chat. It's several other people. The Sia players. I wanted to talk to the Sia players at some point. I don't think I ever even saw them. Like I saw them play, but I never physically like saw the two Sia players. One of the Lunas came up to me, but it wasn't the Luna from Sia. They did good. I'll talk about them a little bit later. And several other people. I don't want to sit here and talk about like everyone I didn't get to talk to in depth. Pro Chara, I only said hi. I did like one fist bump of Pro Chara. Now Pro Chara was playing most of the time, and I don't like talking to people when they're playing because I don't like it when people talk to me when I'm playing. You know, I want you to like be in your element. I want you to like go through your thing. And we just never were like paths just never really crossed outside of that. So I got to have like a nice conversation with Jim for a little bit of a period of time. But it's hard talking to like I don't want to say the word celebrity, but some of the more well-known people, because as you're like interacting with them, other people will come up to you and they'll like jump into the conversation, which is fine. They're totally fine. Like nobody's unapproachable, and I don't want to come across as unapproachable myself. But like it's hard to like talk to somebody else that is more well known in the community in a public setting because you're constantly just going to be bombarded by other people, which again is fair, but it does make conversations a little bit difficult at times. So yeah, if there was somebody I didn't get to talk to, I'm sorry. It's not because I don't like you. It's just it's just difficult to kind of squeeze in some conversations at times. Now, that's what makes Low Tide City a lot better than any other LAN. It's because you have that outside the tournament event, which is the fire pit, which allows you to have those social interactions without any of the stress or the, hey, yeah, I'll sign your poster, but I need to go back and play this other set, or I need to go run the spec cam, or I need to go do whatever, or I'm like pool captaining this. But yeah, I'll sign this real quick. The fire pit allows you to have like a more in-depth conversation, and you can take pictures with people, and you can do whatever that you can't do at the actual venue. So that's what makes Low Tide City different. And I think that's what the main draw for Low Tide City was for a lot of people, why so many people came out to this event, because they realize, yeah, it's a tournament, but the tournament is the side event. The main event is the fire pit. This is a social event that you're going to. And if you're not really a social person, understandably so, and if you don't know a lot of people there, it's hard to just kind of like come out and be like, hey, I'm just going to go there by myself and interact with a bunch of people I've only met on the internet. I can understand that could be kind of frustrating. But that's what Low Tide City is. It's more of like a convention than a tournament at this point. And that's why you see so many people that came out to it and kind of enjoyed it. The fire pit was phenomenal as always. I gotta admit, I was really worried. So like the fire pit wasn't really like a secret last year. But that small group we had that first night, once Falco tweeted it out, and then like more and more people came every night. It's like, okay, this is nice. But then you have all these people sign up, and the poster for the Splatoon side is the fire pit, and everybody's talking about it in the main like Low Tide City Smash Twitter is talking about the fire pit. I was legit worried it was going to turn into a frat party. and it was just going to be a bunch of drunk 20-something-year-olds, and like we're going to get the party shut down, and the resort's going to like kick us out, and we'll never see the fire pit again. No, it was the exact opposite of that. There were a ton of people at the fire pit, but it was just like a really chill social setting. There wasn't anybody being loud. There wasn't anybody being stupid. There wasn't anybody drunk out of their ass. It was just a bunch of adults and other people that were there that were just enjoying each other, having casual conversations. It was perfect. I was legit worried that we were going to make an ass of the community, and I feel like everyone represented the Splatoon community really well at the fire pit. So that's happy to see, and I hope it continues to be that way. Now, I didn't stay until like 3 a.m. I've heard rumors that some of you stayed till like 3 a.m. at the fire pit. I usually dipped around like 12:30. I think maybe we stayed till 1 on one of the nights where we got to sleep in. So if anything happened crazy after 1 a.m., I'm not, you're on your own with that. You don't represent the Splatoon community there. But I heard some people that were out super late at the fire pit, and so be it. Hey, you only get a couple of days to kind of enjoy the community, get the most mileage out of that as you can. I just can't stay up that late anymore, especially when you're like losing an hour used to being EST. So why did this feel like the biggest Splatoon event ever? It has to come down to the actual room itself. So last year, it was the Splatoon room was a part of the Smash room. Splatoon was like the back eighth of the room, and it was all just in one giant room. Which that's how most other lands are. We're kind of spoiled at Riptide to have our own individual room. But like Genesis 7, when they had Splatoon, the Big House, Shine, it's mostly all just one giant room. And then Splatoon just has like their own kind of section there. And that, that's good for the venue space. Like, it's probably cheaper to do things that way. But the Splatoon tournament experience itself, when you're just bombarded by all the Smash players, it sucks. It does. It's not a deal breaker, and it's understandable, but the experience is just better when the Splatoon folks can have their own room to do their own thing. It's very loud when their Smash players are in there, especially last year at Low Tide City. It comes across really weird on the stream as well, because you'll have random moments where you just hear this burst of cheers and eruption of applause, and on the Splatoon side, if you're watching the stream at home, you're like, why are they cheering? They just they haven't even selected their weapons yet. They're just in the ready up screen. Why is everybody going crazy? Well, it's because the Smash stage, which is literally just a stone's throw from where the commentators' mics are, is having some sort of set where it's like MK Leo popping off or something like that. And it's like, it doesn't really translate well on the stream, and it can be confusing at times. Plus, you can't, the actual venue, you can't do the commentators audio. So once like you get to your top 16 or your top 4, the commentators audio will be broadcasted across the entire room, so the crowd can hear the commentary as well. But when you have Smash that's going on right next to you, you can't really do that, because then you're like overlapping with what they're doing. So the experience is just better when Splatoon has its own room. It was announced early on that Low Tide City was going to give Splatoon their own room this time around, which is great. The problem is, though, the room was clearly designed for a much smaller audience that was going to be taking place in this event. And now this is a good problem to have more people sign up than what you're expecting. I think they said 3 times the number of people played in this Low Tide City than the last Low Tide City, which is good. It also means that they get to make more money, right? Because they get to rent out the cheaper room, and they get to fill it up. So they get more profit out of that, which is great. But that's not. It wasn't designed like that to to like screw over Splatoon. They just weren't expecting that many people to sign up for the event. Why that many people sign up to an event? The TOs will credit Prochara for like plugging it in one of his videos. I think word of mouth of the fire pit over the course of the year and FOMO, people realizing, oh, that I want to be at the fire pit. I want to be able to experience that. I think that drew in a lot of people as well. Undershirt Man seemed to have brought the entire group to go with his team as well. So there's a lot of I just feel like word of mouth spread by a lot of different people in the community helped make Low Tide City a lot bigger this second time around. But yeah, the venue space. If you haven't seen, like, people have taken pictures of it on Twitter and stuff, but to give you a sense. Especially for people who just listen to the podcast and don't watch it, to give you a sense of what the size of the room was, if you've been to like a Riptide or any other event, Splatoon Land, you got your stage, and always next to your stage is the screen, so that the audience can see the match that's on stream, that's on the stage taking place. So you got your stage and you got your screen. The length of the room was almost exactly that. The stage and the screen right next to each other. And that's it. Those two things are almost touching the walls. So it doesn't have a lot of width to the room at all. Now, it was long, but it's nowhere near as long as the Riptide room. Not even close. The max oxy. Okay, so it's basically two rooms that we had. And like the middle wall was brought up to connect the two rooms together. But it's just a giant L piece in Tetris that you got going on there. There was 6 stations, I believe, and like 2 of them were back in the corner. The other 2 were like up against a wall going long ways. And there was very little room to walk in between like the stations, and everything was going on. The production staff was literally just right behind the stage in a corner, and the commentators were in another corner. It was just a giant mess. When I walked into the venue on Friday to help set up, I looked at Magic and I was like, there's no way. There's no way this is going to work. I mean, look, it's the nature of the beast. It worked. It actually worked out. But yeah, it has to be a bigger room next time. Now that they know what to expect, it has to be a bigger room. When I went to the venue for the first time during the actual tournament on Saturday, it was when one pool was ending and the next wave of pools was coming in. So like the next teams were coming in, getting ready to start their sets as the other sets were going on. It was literally elbow to elbow. Like if you wanted to go somewhere, you had to like swim move, duck and dive and dip over and leapfrog over somebody just to walk over to another spot. It was crazy. It was like, okay, if we're not wearing masks, we're all just going to die in this kind of scenario. So it's a good thing masks were enforced in the Splatoon side, because we really needed it for this one. By the way, don't wait for somebody to post on Twitter that they've gotten COVID to get tested. Get tested. I already know for a fact somebody has tested positive. So, yeah, it's just a risk that you're going to take going to every land from now until you die. So make sure you get tested and react appropriately if you do contract it. But I can confirm, I know somebody for a fact has already tested positive for that. But to give you another sense, the max capacity, so again, it's 2 different rooms with the wall brought up. The max capacity of one of the rooms is 108. So the 2 rooms combined, the max capacity is 216. And that's not a max capacity that's set by the venue. Max capacities are always set by your local fire marshal. And I, from personal experience with my IRL job, I won't go into details, the local fire marshal is usually a big turd about max capacities. Like, that's not a thing they mess around with. So 216 is the legal limit for people you can put in those rooms. And the total number of people that sign up for this event, I believe, are 233. And that doesn't include all the spectators that aren't accounted for. So now, not everybody was in the room at the same time. I don't think there was ever a point where more than 216 people exceeded that room. But just to give you the sense of how small the room was compared to what the actual event was, that is the stat. Now, again, this is a good thing. To exceed expectations for the Splatoon community is a very good thing. Now, other Smash TOs are looking at this event and saying, whoa, you guys were really successful there. Maybe we should consider getting Splatoon brought over to our event. And maybe next Low Tide City, they say, hey, if we're getting these kinds of numbers, it improves next time, then yeah, let's go ahead and book that bigger room ahead of time now that we know that we're going to get the numbers. If you book it based off of last year, then yeah, that room makes perfect sense. If you take last year's numbers into that smaller room that we had this year, it makes perfect sense. But now that they know what the Splatoon community is capable of, the expectation level goes up, and that's a good thing for everybody. So that alone, as awkward and as uncomfortable as it might have been, there's a lot of positives to go into the fact. And again, it wasn't intentional to make it a sardine situation. It's very obvious that it wasn't. But that does lead to good things in the future, in my opinion. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see Splatoon pop up. It's not like Genesis is going to look at Low Tide City and say, yep, this is the push over the edge that we needed to bring Splatoon back to Genesis. The more I go to these lands and the more time I spend talking to the production folks, and I actually got to have a small conversation with Aaron, who is like the overarching TO of the entire like Smash Splatoon, the entire event, for like a brief conversation. Just like K-Bot was able to make a connection with me for a bit. I get a better sense of like, it's not just if you want to have Splatoon at your event. There are a ton of other hurdles to bring Splatoon to your event other than just Smash. Some things I've talked about in the past on other podcast episodes about just how the setups are way more expensive and way more time consuming to get everything figured out. Again, I could host a Smash LAN in my living room right now. Like, everything's set up, ready to go. If you give me 7 other players, we get a top 8 going. To run one Splatoon tournament set takes so much crazy amount of equipment, and you still have DC issues because every single piece of equipment has to be flawless. If one piece is off or one thing is corrupted, it can take a long time to get that kind of fixed and to figure out what that specific issue is to get everything fixed. It's just the nature of the beast. So even if you want to add Splatoon to, if you're like a Smash TO and you want to add Splatoon to your event, there's still a ton of hurdles that come in the way of making that kind of work there. But yeah, Low Tide City, it's a social event more so than any other land. The Big House, and I don't know if the Big House is going to have Splatoon again next year. That's none of that has been leaked to me, nor if it was, would I leak it here on the podcast. But the Big House is always going to be about the actual tournament. That's going to be the one that draws in the big dogs and all the teams that you actually want to see compete right in front of your face. And that's just because it's harder to socialize at the Big House. You need to like find your group of people that you want to hang out with. And then, not to say that Detroit isn't lovely and there's not a lot of places you can walk to interact, but you kind of just have to like stick to your own group of people that you want to hang out with in general at an event, at an urban land like a Big House, or even at Genesis. And to some extent Riptide, just because it's not this, but Riptide doesn't draw out the big name teams either, so Riptide's more of a social event than the actual tournament itself. All lands have like their pros and cons as far as what they're about. The resort as a whole is always just top notch. I mean, there's no better resort for any of these Splatoon lands we've been to than the one at Low Tide City, and it's going to be so difficult to kind of top that. I'm sure the water park was awesome. I haven't gone to the water park. The next time we go, when we have our kid with us, we'll probably hit up the water park. By the way, if for like people getting into making families, like these riptides, these low tide cities, like these are perfect for like families. Like the kid has a lot of things they can do, and us adults have a lot of things we can do, as far as the land is concerned. So those are some cool things to look forward to. I already talked about the fire pit here, so we'll just move on to that. Some storylines. Here's some stories from Low Tide City before we start talking about the actual results. First off, Undershirt Man was there, and the presence of Undershirt Man was felt across the entire venue. If you saw some people at one of the stations holding up some signs that said things like Salmon Slayers Unite, or I'm a proud mod of DDP123 or something like that, or I don't know. I didn't read all the signs, but there was like a lot of people holding up some signs. I was like, what? I don't understand what's going on here. Turns out that was Undershirt Man's team, and whenever they played at a station, they would hold up those signs so that their opponent could look at them the entire time. I thought that was really cool. I didn't get to see. Did Undershirt Man's team ever play on stream? And I wonder what that situation would have looked like with having that crowd there. But that was still kind of cool to see that presence there. I talked to Undershirt Man and his mom at the fire pit, had a lovely conversation with them. And they clearly enjoyed going to the event, and that was really awesome to see. Nice to kind of meet people like that who are coming to these events and enjoying them and bringing a little bit of a presence along with them. That was cool. Oh man, speaking of presence, how about persistence, huh? That's I would assume persistence is I wouldn't call it showboating, but their energy that they brought to every set that they were playing in, I would assume as an opponent you would find that annoying, but as a spectator you find that extremely entertaining and hype. You're like, yo, they actually cared to some extent. And that's not to say like it needs to be if I'm not showing any emotion, I don't care. I've been pretty notorious at last Low Tide City of showing zero emotion whenever I'm on stream. I got my hood up, I got my hands in my pocket. I'm just dead. I'm a robot for like the entire time that I'm playing. Persistence was the exact opposite. It was entertaining. It was cool. And I think we're not used to that. And I think that's something we should be getting used to. I don't think we need to be all the time just polite. Good game, sir. It was nice to meet you. And I don't think anything Persistence did cross the line. I don't think they were being mean to anybody. I think they were just hyping up each other and showing some energy with that. And some of the sets Persistence played in were some of the more entertaining ones, especially that set against Yum. Yes, it was a set that they lost, but still, it was very entertaining to see those teams going up against each other on stream and the energy that they brought. I like that energy personally. There were some delays, of course. Look, I don't think I've ever been to a Splatoon tournament where there wasn't delays. You always go in there and the TOs are like, guys, we're 20, 30 minutes behind. And it's like, well, yeah, that's just how these things work. The equipment never works in the first stage of pools. I'm sorry for the people who play at the beginning of Saturday. You're always screwed over because there's always something that goes wrong. And then when everything gets fixed out of nowhere, halfway through the tournament, this one LAN adapter that's been working perfectly for the entire day suddenly stops working perfectly, and it screws up everything, and it causes this more delay. It's just the nature of the beast. I want to say, no. Big House, I don't think had a lot of technical issues, or if they did, they were fixed rather quickly. The delay with Big House was that we had to run ads every damn minute, and there were people that were in lobbies ready to go, but we couldn't start the match because we had to finish running through the ads. So there's never been that perfect moment where the equipment works and we don't have to delay things for the stream or whatever. So there's just always delays. I think at this point, TOs just kind of need to say, this pool is going to last for 3 hours or 2.5 hours, or like you guys should expect it. But yeah, delays are nothing new. The award for best jersey goes to Acropora, and I don't have a picture of it anywhere, but Acropora having jerseys, they were like, the main color was pink, and I think there was some teal mixed into that as well. Acropora gets credit for that just because it's not a black jersey. It seems like everybody that makes a jersey is like mostly black, which of course Smoothies is as well. And I'm not saying like black is black is a really cool jersey color. The problem is everybody does it, so it kind of loses its coolness value to it. I think Persistence's was mostly yellow as well. I know they had some jerseys that look pretty decent. But yeah, I got to give shout outs to Acroport for having in my opinion, the best jersey. This was 100%, mostly 100% a grassroots event. Well, no, I guess what is your definition of grassroots? There was no overlord representation this time around. No docs were donated. This was all now like the docs weren't necessary because they somehow got their hands on some docs, but they did not come from the overlords at Nintendo. The monitors were sponsored. I believe Pixio was the name of it. And I'm not versed enough in the TOing of Splatoon LAN scene to know if like that means that I'm assuming that means that since the monitors were sponsored, that's a less of a budget cut or budget cost that comes out of the budget to make this event run. So shout outs to Pixio, I guess, for providing the monitors, but everything else was just like the typical equipment. The TM1s, those new TM1s, or I guess they're not really TM1s, but they're more like the individual ones. I've heard that those are more expensive than like the brick that's at all the tables, but it's still nice to have new equipment. So those TM1s that you've used, if you used a TM1 at a LAN, it's the same one that was probably used at like Don't Park on the Grass all those years ago. Like those things just travel from site to site. They get banged up on flights and they lose some working power over the point. Somebody asked what is a TM1? It stands for Team Mixer. So basically it's this it's just like a thing that you plug your headset into so that you can talk to your other teammates and hear the game audio. Those things are crazy expensive, but there were different ones. There was more like an individual one at each station instead of just like that giant one that's in the middle that you all plug your things into. And the individual ones seem to work out pretty well. But yeah, the being able to like talk to your teammates, it's weird because like you're in your mindset of like, oh, we're in our own private VC, nobody can hear us. No, like your opponent's sitting right across from you. They can hear all the call outs that you're making, which is something you got to adjust to for sure. I think that's all like the storyline stuff I want to talk about. This morning, as I was walking around my, I like to, when I get to an airport, I like to just walk around the airport and get my steps in. This morning when we got there at like 6. I did a few laps, and Brush was at the airport, so Brush joined me. So we had a little bit of a nice conversation. I enjoyed hanging out with Brush over the course of this weekend. One of the things I kind of talked about with Brush is, and several people came up to me and said this as well, talking about how because of their experience at the LAN, they now feel, I was thinking about just like dropping out or retiring from competitive or whatever, but because of this LAN, I now want to make a team. I got this drive to be a free agent again, or to make a team, or to try to improve or something like that. And I always tell those people, wait a few days, because you're kind of emotionally hijacked by how awesome that the LAN experience is. Then you go back to playing the game online, and you're like, okay, yeah, this game still sucks. And the online experience is not the same as a LAN, but you should be inspired after a LAN. Maybe not just to continue to play the game, but to just be inspired about the community as a whole. Just everything that goes into what makes the LAN. Like if you're leaving the LAN feeling inspired about things, that's a success. That's the whole point of the LAN, and you got the value out of it that you were looking for there. So hopefully that is how a lot of you are kind of leaving those things. I've always had that same exact feeling. But I'm also kind of old enough to realize, oh, wait a minute, I've had this feeling before, and I know how it ends up down the line. Things will kind of settle back down, but I'm glad a lot of people leave lands not expired, inspired to continue on in the scene and do things forward. As far as teams that played in this tournament, a quick synopsis of the set. Haya, if you're still here, we're going to do some like quick production stuff behind the scene. If you want to do an interview, Haya, we can squeeze one in. Join one of our Destiny Troop VC. Have your webcam turned on. And if you do that, we'll hop in. We'll do a quick interview after this, but I want to talk about the teams. If not, we'll just end it there. First off, I got to give a shout out to Octopi. They finished third place in the past lowing. They played really well this tournament. They get to hold the title, being the last team to ever beat me. And it wasn't really that they beat me. They lit my ass up. They 3-0'd us. And yeah, that was hats off to them. I'm not gonna like make an excuse of like, oh, they didn't warm up or anything, or like we took them lightly. No, they straight up outplayed us, and they deserve credit for that. It was we took them very seriously. Like they played before us, and we had a bye, so I stood right behind them. I watched all four of their players. I tried to game plan them a little bit, but then they threw some things at us that they didn't show in the last set. So it's like they clearly had a game plan, and it worked out really well. So hats off to Octopi. Can you get banned from Low Ink for the results you get at a LAN? Yes, 100% you can. Some people should argue that a LAN result should hold more weight than an online result, because it's the actual it's an actual version of what Splatoon is supposed to be. I'm not like going to announce Octopi being banned or not, because they did do really well across the entire tournament. But I just wanted to acknowledge them as, hey, GGs, you guys really, really showed out there at this event. Nicely done. Sonder did fantastic. They ended up getting third place in this event. I can't think of another time where is this the first time Saunders played at one of these major lanes? I feel like it is, or unless they maybe played it like the first Riptide or something. But Sonder, coming into what I assume is one of their first lanes in a while, did extremely well, finishing in third place. I think Shy is the player that announced their retirement after that event. And congratulations to them to going out with a podium bronze medal underneath their belt there. But Sonder still has 4 players going forward, and it's they got a coach now, so good things coming from Sonder. I acknowledge Sonder because I know they've been grinding a lot. They've been playing in proving grounds a lot to get ready for some of these events, and that grinding certainly has paid off. I saw a player for Red Sun. I think it was Nice on Twitter tweet. I don't recall exactly who. One of the players from Red Sun tweeted out that they weren't really happy with their placement. I think they finished tied for 7th. I feel like Red Sun did well. I mean, they took Last Resort to a Game 5. Is it the same second place finish that they got at Riptide last year? No, but this was very much a tougher tournament than what Red Sun had at Riptide last year. I think having back-to-back good showings, good placements in these two kind of tournaments that they played in is a good sign for Red Sun. In Control Red Sun. Hopefully In Control was impressed with them as well. I thought they did better, but obviously it's good to see that they have a little bit higher expectations for themselves, and they'll keep grinding. Speaking of Last Resort, these guys, as I look at the bracket, there's not a lot of sets in the top 16 that went to a Game 5. In fact, there's only 4 sets across winners and losers bracket that went to a Game 5. 2 of them involved Last Resort. Last Resort lost the Game 5 to Essence, which, by the way, that was a fantastic set. It was off stream, and as that one was coming to an end, I was like, let me just pull out my phone. Let me just start recording, because one of these teams is going to have an epic end to this Clan Blitz game here. And it ended up just being Essence, and I was in the perfect angle to see them kind of pop off and celebrate their victory there. Last Resort in losers bracket We got taken to a game 5 by Red Sun as well. They really got challenged over the course of this tournament. And again, when you're it seems like whenever there's a last resort set that's going on off stream, it was like it was on stream as well, because the presence last resort has is always going to draw attention from everybody in the room, and everybody's going to be locking in on that. Is that fair for Red Sun or not? It's just the nature of the beast when they have that kind of star power. But I saw Char tweeting out, "Hey, I'm proud of our team for having this kind of resilience to overcome some of these more difficult sets that were coming through." Like, I think the mental toughness is the term they were using. They ended up finishing tied for 5th place here. Smoothie just kind of did them in, but Smoothie, this is clearly just Smoothie's tournament. Before we talk about Smoothie, Cherry Limeade did much better than last year. And this is a tougher tournament than last year as well. I say that because I was the team that put Cherry Limeade in losers bracket last time. But they would have lit us up if we played against them this time around. They've just been much improved over the course of the last year. Actually, the only team to beat Cherry Limeade was Smoothie. Like, that was the only team. I'm not sitting here saying, like, oh, they're the true second-place team or something like that. No, like, they took care of business against everybody else. Did anybody take a game off of Cherry Limeade at all? Oceanos, the MIT crowd, took one game off of Cherry Limeade. Other than that, Cherry Limeade 3-0'd mostly everybody that they went up against in dominant fashion. And that's a team that's always going to have a strong presence as far as the crowd is concerned as well. So good for them. Smoothie, though. Let's talk about Smoothie for a bit. Smoothie finished in 2nd place, where Boopy lost and Haya finished in 2nd place last. Low Tide City as well. So those 3 players get to be back-to-back silver medalists at Low Tide City. The only players ever on the history of planet Earth to finish in 2nd place at Low Tide City are those players that are represented there. They dropped 1 game to Cherry Limeade, and they dropped 1 game to Sonder. That's it. They 3-0'd everybody else, except for Starburst, who kind of wiped the floor with them. But still, Smoothie, going into this one, it's totally fair to rate Last Resort higher than seed Last Resort higher than that was totally fair. I know those 2 teams have been scrimming against each other leading up to this one, but you still seed Last Resort higher than them going into this event. Smoothie 3-0'd them. They 3-1 Cherry Limeade after 3-0ing Cherry Limeade, 3-1ing Sonder in a counter pick format. Smoothie was just better, and they just how to have magic in this kind of a situation. Oh, I like Smoothie because they had 5 players rotating in and out as well. And all 5 of those players made contributions over the course of the thing. I was wondering why they wouldn't, because Lost was still at the venue. I was wondering why, when they went up against Starburst again, why not try going back to Flounder Zones and sub in Lost? But maybe at that point, Lost hasn't been warmed up, and that Carbon Roller might not be ready to go. And again, you're playing Starburst. What can you really do? You're just kind of throwing things against the wall to see if anything sticks. So let's talk about Starburst for a little bit here, because I might have said this before, and it's probably not true. They don't need to go undefeated in this tournament. They didn't need to curb stomp it. I don't think they come out of this one being like, yeah, this avenges Ink TV or something like that. No, that I don't think that's the case at all. But they couldn't have lost the game. It would have been weird if they lost the game. And they didn't set themselves up into a scenario where they could have lost the game. I was watching them even when they were off stream. And last year, my team almost beat Bagel, Biscuit, Ice, and Keo in 1 game. And I know Blush beat that same team in 1 game last year because they weren't using their mains the entire time. The game we almost beat that team on, they were using like Tint and Mini Splatling, and it wasn't their mains. I think Biscuit was using Tetras. Like, they were just trying to see Like, they were just trying to make the tournament entertaining for them themselves. This time around, Starburst, I saw them playing somebody off stream in the pool stage. They were using their mains, and they were going out of their way to beat the dog crap out of their opponent. Like, they were trying to, like, show you we're taking everybody, even the lowest of low-ink teams, as seriously as possible. And they weren't memeing at any point in this tournament, or even memeing, or even just, like, coming off of their mains. Even in that Game 3, where last year, they were using, again, they were coming off their mains and just like, let's just make this entertaining because we know where they're going to win. That Game 3, Tower Control Art Academy, that comp they used was their try-hard comp. Brand using Rapid Blaster Deco. That's the same exact weapon they were using against Jackpot in Ink TV. They were treating Smoothie like they were an opponent that could, like they didn't want to mess around with anybody and give anybody any hope. So that's really the story right there. They were coming into this one with a purpose, and they destroyed everybody as they should have been. The crowd's not rooting against Starburst. I wanted to point that out. People don't hate Starburst. People just always root for the underdog. The better story is Smoothie finding a way to get a win against Starburst. If Smoothie somehow divine intervention forced a bracket reset, that building would have exploded. And that's what the crowd wants to see. But it's not because they hate Starburst. They just always root for the underdog. If the situation was reversed, if Starburst was playing like a team from Japan in grand finals at a LAN, the crowd would 100% be on the side of Starburst. 100%. However, when you are the big dog, everyone wants to root for the other team. It's not because they want you to lose. It's because they want to see the better story, which is the underdog scenario. But man, this is 2 years in a row where I'm not sitting here saying I don't want Starburst playing in this one. And I'm not sitting here saying like Smoothie needs to find a way to win this. What I'm saying is it would be a lot better if there was just one or two other teams that were at that level of Starburst. If you could get a Jackpot team in there, if you could get a Keo pickup in there, if you could get one of these strong teams from Europe to come over and there's no latency issues they got to worry about, no lag, no awkward DC, oh, let's let this person host, and you let them play straight up, then that tournament becomes a lot more interesting as far as the grand finals perspective is concerned. It still might be a 3-0 in one way or another, but it's at least the match that you're going to be excited for. And when Starburst wins, it's not just a, oh, and then a golf clap, yay. And then Starburst is just like, hey, yeah, high five. Let's pack this up and go get our award and go get some pizza or something. But that's the nature of the beast. I don't want less of Starburst. I want more of Starburst. And I want more of some of these other teams that can challenge them to actually show up to some of these events. That would be cool to see. Lastly, to close off this segment of all things Low Tide City, at one point, the Ink TV crew got together because there was a lot of Ink TV people there, and thanks to Spoon, who wasn't there, provided some funds for us to get some pizza and to just kind of hang out for a little bit. For some reason, they wanted me to give a speech just as like a joke. So I gave like a quick little joke speech. Like, I'm the one who bought this pizza. I'm the one who founded Ink TV. It's all, thank you all for the hard work you did for me kind of thing. But I started to think about it. With the people that was in that room, if I were to give an actual kind of serious speech to them, like these are all the big shots that are like either behind the curtain or in front of the camera for things that go on in the Splatoon community. If I could say something to them, what would it be? I think I would say something like how all the people that make up what this community is, that do all the great things for this community, the most important thing that you do is inspire other people. The next K-Bot, the next Rizza, the next Brush, the next Jub, the next Osty, Stu the announcer, that person watched Ink TV or watched Low Tide City and got inspired to grow and become something that they are today. One of the first things that I remember seeing myself was Genesis 7. Going there for my first ever LAN, didn't commentate, didn't do anything other than play and just absorb everything. And I fell in love with competitive LAN Splatoon. And now I'm at this point where I'm with my good friend Falco, and we get to commentate grand finals, and we get to we get to have this wonderful moment where we get to we get to reminisce a little bit. Like, we get to talk about our ride going up to now commentating the grand finals of one of the biggest LANs ever. And the people that are going to be commentating the next grand finals 5-6 years from now saw Low Tide City, saw Ink TV this past weekend, and got inspired by it. None of us, nobody here in this community is above the community. You take me away, you take anybody away, the community still goes on. Things might suck, but there's always going to be that next man up. There's always going to be that next person that steps up and takes the place that needs to be filled. Don't ever, nobody, none of you idiots in chat, none of the people who actually create things for this community, never forget that. You are never above this community, but you are still always going to be the inspiration for the growth of this community. Long live competitive Splatoon, and long live LANs. And oh, by the way, just as a side note, because it looks like Haya is here, and we will get it transitioned into that. Some of you did send me some rather lengthy DMs. I haven't read those yet. It's not because I'm blowing you off, but I realized some of them were some like heavy emotional goodbye kind of stuff. And I just wasn't in the mood to kind of read those kinds of things. I will go back and eventually respond to you with those kinds of things. And I appreciate you sending some nice words. But again, I'm not really going anywhere. And I will see all of you again probably a lot sooner than you guys think. Just not at Riptide. But I appreciate the kind words anyways. I'll just go back and read them at some point. Oh, boy. And now the moment that I have always been dreading. And now this is the only opportunity. And as I'm looking at this before it goes absolutely live, I already know that I'm going to regret this going forward. So welcome into the Popcast. Member of Smoothie, former member of Eurobeats, Div 6 player, and someone who has never won Low Ink before and never will. Give it up for the Stamper player for Smoothie, Haya. Haya, you better say something in the next 5 seconds, or I'm going to erase your existence, buddy.
Hold on. Okay, guys.
How's it going, Haya? How's morale today?
How's morale? Feeling like a second place winner.
Okay, so is that the expectation going into Low Tide City? Was it second place or bust?
No, I was literally like, if I'm getting second place again. I just thought that. I was like, okay, so last year there were two big teams we had to beat, Cherry Limeade and 1-2-3-4. And this year, last resort, Cherry Limeade and Sonder. So I'm like, okay, it's only one more team that we have to beat.
Yeah, right? just one more, exactly. Yeah. But is it fair to say compare last year to this year? Obviously, it wasn't Smoothie last year. It was Blush. This year, you got two more players than what you had last time around. The road was more difficult. Which one will you look back on more with more, like which one's going to be more memorable for you, last year or this year?
I mean, this one definitely. I mean, it was packed. Did you see? I mean, of course we didn't fight all the other good teams that were there. Like there was just a lot more going on.
There was a lot more going on. Is there one particular moment that stands out to you from the past weekend?
Rainmaker Scorch Gorge against Cherry Limeade.
Why that one in particular?
All right. So to anyone who's wondering, Dan made the most awful play we have ever seen him make in the history of Splatoon, and Boopy slammed the desk in response, popping out the switch.
So Boopy caused. Who actually DC'd in that set? Boopy did, and it was because Boopy slammed the table.
Yes, in response to Dan's horrific play.
Okay, what was Dan? Let's break this down. First off, what was Dan's play? What was the horrible play there?
So the thing was, Cherry Limeade was 3 down. I was in mid. I think I was on the right side of mid, so I couldn't get to our podium. But Dan was already like on our far left side in front of the podium. So what he did was climb up on the podium and shoot down at the one carrying the Rainmaker for a solid 3 seconds, missed every shot, allowed the Rainmaker to go up the podium and dunk it. And then Boopy screamed at him and hit the desk. So, yes.
I did not know that. Because, so we're commentating that set live.
I know,
and I said, "Oh, did somebody slam the table?" And our producer behind the scenes looked at us, who can hear us talking because they got the audio, looked at us and shook the head and like basically kind of non-verbally communicated to us that it was a technical issue. But you are confirming that it wasn't a technical issue, it was a banging the table issue.
Yes, it was.
You jackasses should not have gotten a replay. You should have taken the L. Cherry Limeade should file a protest.
We did it in the game. Toasty did.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
We had the lead. At the start. We had a really big lead.
You're not going to win a 3v4 versus Cherry Limeade. I don't care how good you are. Cherry Limeade should file a protest, and we should go back there tomorrow and replay that set.
I'm not going back. No, that's it. Oh,
wow.
Can't change the past.
Wow, there we go. Okay, yep. So I'm sitting there. Okay, so our commentary is broadcasted over the entire venue. I know you can hear us, but like as you're playing, does the commentary kind of like seep into your mind at all, or are you like locked into your own world?
No, I can't hear anything. Like okay. I think like literally anything. It's literally anything that's outside. Like okay, I can hear Wipeout or Soda clapping and yelling and stuff like that, but it's just like. No, that's just background noise, like my dog's barking. Like it doesn't affect me at all.
So when you're making a great Zipcaster play and Falco's like, "Whoa, Haya's popping off," that doesn't like register with you at all.
I don't know for my teammates, but for me, I did not hear the commentary at all.
Okay,
because I had Booby screaming in my ear. I would like to relay a quote that we had against Last Resort. They went 3 down, and I think it was Slacker. I don't know. The Splash player popped Crab on tower, and Poopy said, "They popped Crab. What are they gonna do? Die?" Like in a really loud voice, and like the Cherry Limeade that was sitting to the right of me, they heard that. But I just wanted everybody else to know that. I remember that. That was fantastic.
I've gone back and watched some of the VOD already, and some of the people in the chat were like, "Who's that voice? Is that Boopy's voice?" And somebody was like, "I can confirm, that is Boopy's voice. That like I know what that sounds like." So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So the counter picks, when you're playing against Sonder, you pick Tower Control Art Academy. And I've been a very vocal about how anybody who picks Tower Control Art Academy is a moron. I want to give you guys a chance to defend yourself. How did, especially the counter pick against Starburst, going up against them on what is by far their best map and mode individual section. Where's the mind play with Tower Control Art Academy sit with Smoothie?
So yes, I did hear your commentary about Inkblot.
Did you hear it?
No. I watched it back. No,
okay.
The thing was, counter picking it against Sonder. That was a really close match on Undertow, and we just aren't really that proficient on Undertow. I mean, like it was a close game, but I mean, we are all just super comfortable on Inkblot. We just carry momentum well. We know what to do because we've had hold bats in our heads for every time we've played it, um, and we just felt super comfortable going to uh, Inkblot Tower. But the pick against Starburst, I had absolutely no idea that tower control was their best mode, which Kbot clarified to me afterwards. He was no, he just went, "Why would you pick tower control, you morons? That is their best mode." Like, dude, you go up on that stage, you pick counter pick. Like,
But I mean, that's fair. It's like, yeah, there's not really anything you can come up with against. So if you were to play Starburst again, is there really anything in your mind that stuck out to you, or even if you gone back and watched the VOD, it'd be like, oh, there's something we could do differently here that might give us another advantage, or like, is there anything you can take away from that set?
I think what Starburst really has locked in is just the pace of the game. It's just I was watching Char's video earlier. It was like certain weapons know what to do at certain times. Like Splash can do everything, but you can't do everything all at once. And I really thought about that. I'm like, that's exactly what Starburst does. They do something, they do everything really well, but they can only do one thing at once. I mean, of course, they can push the tower, like defend, whatever. But I think if we just had a game plan to deal with each of those moments of the game, we might be able to get something done. Maybe if we just, I think I did not play well that set at all. But if I just played more with Balloon, try to get chip damage, it's just, I think it's just little things and also just playing the game more. I mean, it's just, it's one thing to watch Starburst, it's another thing to play against them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during that set, you did have some moments. Balloon got this like 5 kill streak going
Yes.
in that Art Academy game. You guys got a little bit of a lead at Shipyard. And I know you might not have heard the commentary. I know for a fact you must have heard the crowd go nuts whenever you guys just like did anything against Starburst. There was some
Yeah, I
smoothie
know.
chants
Yeah, I
going
know.
on. How did that feel?
How did that feel? I'm like, sorry guys, we're not winning. That is honestly what I felt. I'm just like, sorry. I'm just like, yeah, thanks guys. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, Starburst will still win. I mean, it was nice. Balloon, he has been improving at an insane rate recently. Like, I am so proud of that dude. He cried like 3 times on stage.
Really? Why do you think that was?
Because he's just a good player. He's proud of where he is, and I'm really proud of him. He's come a long way.
All you guys you in particular have come a long way.
Yeah, since I left your team.
That was the right decision. You're not getting second place 2 times in a row, sticking around with us for sure. Yeah, you found a really good spot with Smoothie. You guys have been really successful, obviously, going forward. 2 more questions, and then we'll let you get back to your barking dog in the background there. Give me so the play Clam Blitz Manta Maria against Last Resort. Boopy goes in a 1v4 scenario, somehow splits through all 4 of those players, and throws the game-winning clam into the basket. What walk us through, like, what was the VC like there? Was there any kind of like explosion going on from you guys from that?
Of course, I don't exactly remember it. It all kind of just, all the screaming blurs together. But I know that we kind of just, I think we got like 2 in mid or something, and then we just kind of got in their street. And I got a pick on Storm Hero, and I think that really just solidified, like, yes, this is the push. And then we started throwing in clams and everything, and then I pushed Arashi dropped in the street, and so I was able to win the 1v1 against him and go get more clams. I tossed in 3. Boopy had the last one, and he does this all the time. He clutches things that he really shouldn't, and I don't understand how he does it. This is why I don't play Splash anymore, because I can't compare to him. But it's like he just does. I don't know. Don't ask me because I don't know. I don't think he knows either. He threw 2 burst bombs. He strafe right, strafe left, and tossed in the clam, and that was it.
That was it.
Yeah,
That was it. Yeah,
we
should
did
not have gotten away with that.
Yeah, I know. We did hold our breaths as he was going down that street.
Talk about the event as a whole outside of the tournament. Give me the 3 people that you met this weekend that you left a good impression on you that you hadn't met before. Or if that's too hot because I just put you on the spot, give me at least one.
Miss Popgun.
That's fair. You didn't meet her. Yeah.
Yeah. I met Dre. I don't know if anyone knows them, but like, I guess they were a DivX player like years ago. I played with them once, like after last year's LTC, and they mentioned that they were going to be there. I'm like, hey, let's meet. And yeah, they were really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and she also wanted to get back into Splatoon, so maybe that'll show up later.
What's next for Smoothie going forward? What's the immediate goal for you guys?
Immediate goal? Immediate goal is get me and Balloon into +2. We just both got suggested. That's the immediate goal. I'd say the second is I need to work on Stamper a lot because I've only played it for like 3 weeks ish. It just Splash wasn't working with my playstyle. I didn't want to sit back and farm crab. I wanted to fight things. So Boopy put me on Stamper and it's been working out. And Dan, we forced him onto Splash. Like it's a tragic tale, but we forced him from pro onto Splash, and I think that he's doing good. But I think he also needs to improve as well with that. Just get more comfortable with the weapon. Because I mean, how long has he been playing pro for? 3 years. So
dating back to Labyrinth X. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Well, how many people remember Eurobeats?
Rob, my captain of Eurobeats, and then the other members of Eurobeats.
Fair enough. And hey, me too, because that's where I first saw you, and I was like, oh, this kid's actually pretty good. This kid could carry me to a couple of wins here and there.
Yeah, and then I got to use second place in SAC.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. That's hey, I'm retired now. That's my resume at the end right there. Hey, thanks for coming on last minute. Congratulations yet again. Stay out of trouble and try not to be so weird. How about?
Well, how about you look at my shiny medals? Look at this. So this is from this year, and this is from last year. And this one says second place on the front, but this one says second on the back. So, yeah. And then I have my poster back there. So, yeah.
Did I sign your poster?
You did.
Okay. I don't. Did Miss Popgun sign your poster?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll see you there next year? Is that... Or when's the next land for Haya?
For Haya?
Yeah. Probably
next LTC. I don't know. I just don't really have the means to go to every LAN like Dan does, apparently. I don't know. He's crazy.
That's fair. I've seen Dan at a lot of these things. All right, get out of here. That's all I need out of you. You're done.
Okay, Popgun.
See you later, buddy.
See you later, Popgun. Did you see my clip on Twitter where I farmed you?
And that was Saya representing Smoothie. I'm a big Haya fan. I'm glad we've been joking about Haya coming onto the podcast for a long time, and honestly, that was the moment where it actually made sense to bring on Haya. So I'm glad we were able to do that. Maybe we'll do some more highest stuff in the future as Smoothie continues to grow and grind. But they cheated. They cheated. There's proof right there. I'm going to DM Magic tonight and file a protest in behalf of Cherry Limeade. We are replaying that set, doggone it. And this is where I would end the episode of the Popcast, but I saw Battle Girl Dimples in chat. By the way, thanks for subscribing again. But I do want to relay a quick story. So Battle Girl Dimples' partner came up to me and said, "Hey, you're the person who's always on, like, in our household. Like, you're always, whenever you're on, like, you're on the TV or whatever." So, like, they knew me through the Popcast, but their first time ever meeting me was when I was walking outside the venue looking around, and they said, "Hi, Pop Gun." And I just said, "Hi, have you guys seen my wife? I can't find my wife." And then I just ran off. And I'm assuming that was probably a really weird and awkward situation to have. But, like, I didn't know where my wife was, and there were so many people congested that I was like, okay, where is she? So if anyone had that awkward moment interaction with me, I'm glad you guys get to see me for the actual jackass that I am IRL instead of whatever you perceive me to be here on this podcast. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, feel free to reach out at my socials below: Twitter, Mr_Popgun, Discord, Popgun, #5882, YouTube at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun. Who are we going to raid? I need to A, mow the yard, and B, get a copy of Tears of the Kingdom. My wife has a digital code she's been playing. I've been seeing some hilarious stuff on Twitter with what people have been creating. Let's go to Ken Knows It. Stay safe. If you haven't been vaccinated at this point, go do it. And don't forget to get tested. Don't wait for somebody to announce they've already gotten COVID. I guarantee you've been around somebody who has tested positive for COVID. It's just the nature of the beast. Get tested, stay safe. We'll see you Thursday for the Low Ink preview.